All right, readers, thank you for coming on down to the carpet quickly. We're going to get started, and I want to share with you guys a quick story. For those of you who don't know, I have a little sister named Sonia, and she's 24 years old, and she lives in Hudson, Wisconsin, with my parents while she's finishing up school. Sonia and I are quite different from one another, and I've sometimes struggled to understand those differences. I can remember this one time when we were talking about careers or jobs and got into a bit of an argument. I had to actually take a step back and think about why I was acting so judgmental towards her. It started off by me telling my parents that I wanted to go back to school for my master's degree and making a comment about how it would be nice if Sonia could finish getting at least one degree, which I thought at the time was funny, but Sonia overheard and got really upset. She stormed out of the room and slammed the door to the bathroom. I walked over to the door and knocked. "Sonia, come on, I was just being funny," I said. She opened the door, stared me in the eyes, and said, "Not everyone can be as perfect as you, Alora." Then she pushed past me and went down the stairs. I was shocked. I didn't think I was perfect. What had I been doing that would make Sonia think I thought I was perfect? I stepped back and looked into the bathroom mirror. Maybe I was being too harsh on Sonia. Just because I had gone to college right after high school and graduated in 4 years didn't mean everyone would do the same. It was just taking Sonia longer to figure out what made her happy, and I shouldn't make comments that made her feel like she wasn't as accomplished as me. I was glad I took a step back and looked in the mirror because it helped me to reflect on my words and actions. I went down to her bedroom and apologized for not being a more supportive sister. I told her I was really proud of her for taking her time to think about her career and that it really didn't matter how long it took her to earn her degree, as long as she was happy. So readers, we've been working on immersing ourselves into the worlds of our characters and putting ourselves in their shoes to connect with them and gain a better understanding of the story. But today I want to teach you that it's important to step back sometimes from the text and think reflectively, like I did when I looked into the mirror, and ask yourself why characters say and act the way they do. Characters and people act and say things for particular reasons that will help us to understand them better. So readers, it's important as we read today to ask yourself, why might the characters have acted this way? What do these actions reveal about them as people? And let's pay particular attention to any patterns in the characters' actions and notice when the characters break those patterns. We're going to actually return to our book, The Tiger Rising, which we're going to go back to the scene that you acted out previously when Rob and Morton and Billy were on the bus. So, when Rob boards the bus for the first time, he's approached by Norton, the passage that you acted out, and before we can think about why a character acts the way he does, it helps to remember what we already know about the character. So let's look back and let's remind ourselves of what we were thinking about Rob up to this point. Turn and talk, what did you already know about Rob? And so you guys haven't heard the story, but they may say things like, he hasn't cried since his mom died. And so I had already made these Post-its and I would just put them up. Obviously I would keep a stack of Post-its by me too if a kid said one that I didn't have already thought that they might. He packs everything into a suitcase and shuts it tight. And then obviously if there were more I would take them. It would be pretty quick. He said, "That's great, now let's read the passage and see if Rob's actions as he boards the bus fit with what we already are thinking about him. Are we noticing a pattern in his actions? And if so, why?" "Looky here," said Norton Thurmonger as soon as Rob stepped onto the school bus. "It's the Kentucky Star. How's it feel to be a star?" Norton stood in the center of the aisle, blocking Rob's path. Rob shrugged. What do we think? Do Rob's actions fit with what we already know about him? It's a small action. He shrugged. Let's continue reading and let's find out a little more. Rob shrugged. "Oh, he don't know," Norton called to his brother. "Hey, Billy, he don't know what it's like to be a star." Rob slipped past Norton. He walked all the way to the back of the bus and sat down in the last seat. This book really hasn't told us anything about Rob, or has it? Sometimes what helps us to understand about readers, about characters and what they do is to think about what they could have done that the actions the characters make, the way Rob moves to the back of the bus, are here for a reason. So some people think the back of the bus is the worst place to sit. And that would make this very interesting then if Rob went back there. Others think that the back of the bus is where the cool kids sit. And that would maybe even make it more interesting when Rob heads back there. Do you see how the littlest details can actually get us wondering more about a character? I also wonder then why Rob just shrugs when Norton begins mocking him about being the Kentucky Star. Let's again think, what could he have done? Why don't you turn and talk to someone near you and think about what Rob could have done in this situation. That will help us to better understand maybe why he did what he did. Tell your neighbor what choice Rob is making by shrugging and your theory about why he makes that choice. And then I'd be like, I agree with you. It's like Rob is working hard to avoid any sort of conflict with Martin, right? But why? So, let's read on and see what happens next. Hey, said Billy Thurmonger, you know what? This ain't Kentucky. This is Florida. He followed Rob and sat down next to him. He pushed his face so close that Rob could smell his breath. It was bad breath. It smelled metallic and rotten. You ain't a Kentucky Star, Billy said, his eyes glowing under the brim of his John Deere cap. And you sure ain't a star here in Florida. You ain't a star nowhere. Okay, said Rob. Let's take some time to find the patterns in Rob's actions. We already know that he shrugs when Norton confronts him. He's in the middle of the bus. And we also know that he moves to the back of the bus. And that his response to Norton when he says, you ain't a star nowhere, is simply, okay. So why don't you turn and talk? Are we noticing any patterns in Rob's behavior? And if so, why do we think he's acting this way? And then again, I would probably allow everyone to turn and talk. And then kind of share out their thinking. Obviously, usually when this goes on, they're actually learning to talk quite a bit about Rob, since he's kind of an interesting character. So when I've done this lesson, it does say to do Sistine for the next part, which I have done because it's on chapter 4, but to be honest, sometimes it gets too long and kids get kind of more intrigued by Rob. So you would basically follow the same thing. There's a passage that you read, and again, then you would kind of just collect and start thinking about those patterns that you're seeing. So I'll just head down to the link then. It says, so readers, when you want to reveal more about a character, in this case it was Rob, we note the actions the person is making, and then we reflect when we consider why he has chosen to do this. We think about what other choices Rob might have made in the situation, and look for any patterns, like the way he keeps ignoring Norton. I've begun to chart the strategies we are collecting for studying characters. And I want you to use these as you read today. Remember, you'll need to read with great alertness, remembering that the details in a book are there on purpose. Try to develop ideas about characters and about your books in general. Keep your post-its close by so you can flag words that you want to think about and talk about with your partner. You may want to do some writing about how your character's actions fit with or change your ideas about him or her. So again, let's just quickly review how we grow ideas about a character. We use the patterns to form ideas, and then we ask ourselves if these new actions fit with what we've already thought, or if they're changing our ideas about that character. We also always want to ask why. Just as I did when I was in the mirror thinking about the way I entreated Sonia, I had to ask myself why I was doing those things. So again, I'm going to send you off. Keep those post-its handy. When you find a part you want to talk about, make sure to flag it. All right, off you go.